My name is spelled luxury yacht, but it's pronounced throat wobbler mangrove. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. I see today that the Housing and Urban Development Authority chief has resigned, and poor President Bush only reluctantly accepted his resignation, presumably for all of the great and wonderful things he did while he was in office. I hardly think so, since his entire tenure in office has been accompanied by scandal after croneyism, etc. Not to mention the fact that he has presided over the Housing and Urban Development Authority during the probably worst financial crisis affecting the housing market in this country's history. He should probably have been thrown into fucking shackles and thrown into a goddamn dungeon. Well, I guess, since a criminal probe is underway, it's possible he may see some jail time. But I doubt it. I also see on Wall Street that Lehman Brothers is trying to assuage their investors on Wall Street in general by coming up with several $billion today in an effort to show that they're not in financial trouble, and maybe to prevent a run on their shares and or investments. Well, you know, that's all great and wonderful, Lemon, but you know, you really don't have anything to worry about. What with the fascistic Federal Reserve waiting with their SWAT team of saviors to come running to the rescue of any giant financial powerhouse that needs rescuing in this horrible economic situation that we're in. Never mind the man on the street who can't pay his fucking mortgage, but we're ready with hundreds of billions of dollars, by God, to save you giant rich financial powerhouses like Lemon. So just like Bear Stearns, don't worry, Lehman Brothers, if you're in danger of going down, just reach out to the friendly helping hand of the Federal Reserve, which, according to our Treasury Secretary, now may get vast new powers. Isn't it wonderful how our Treasury Secretary, who is in charge of all the money and economic policies of the entire country, cannot take one lick of fucking responsibility himself. Instead, he is proposing major new changes and vast new powers for the Federal Reserve. And in case you forgot, the Federal Reserve is not a government agency. It is wholly owned by private interests. That's right. It is a private fucking bank owned by private fucking people who are rich and have billions of dollars, and most of them don't even reside within this country. So why can't the Treasury Secretary have a fucking backbone, take some responsibility, and take action to have the Treasury Department handle the money, the economic situation in this country, instead of handing off that responsibility to a wholly owned private fucking bank that nobody has any say over, nobody has any input in, and nobody owns anything of, except for those rich people in foreign countries and foreign banks that really have no business having control of our money or our economy here in the United States. Have a fucking backbone, Treasury Secretary. Why don't you do something to take some responsibility for all the shit that's been happening in this country? Not gonna happen. There's a ceasefire in Iraq, which is a good thing because in the short term it means less deaths in Iraq. In the long term, it bodes very ill for the United States and Iranian relationship because there's this supposed influence that Iran is having in the southern regions of Iraq with the Shiites, and because they brokered this ceasefire, it is seen as an undue amount of influence by Iran on Iraq. And as if the current administration did not need another thing in their back pocket as a reason for going to war with Iran, they now have this trumped up ridiculous excuse as well. Russia and Saudi Arabia are both preparing for a U.S. invasion and war with Iran. I'm ready for it myself because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. This is only one more tiny little blip in the radar on the steamship heading for Iran-U.S. war. Now, if anybody had anything decent to say, anything useful to add in what's going on in the Middle East, it's certainly nobody that's in this administration or nobody of the major candidates who are running for president. They have nothing to add to the dialogue. They have nothing to contribute. And there is no change that's going to happen except to go further downhill. As U.S. troop deaths increase, Iraqi civilian deaths increase, and soon we'll be at war with Iran. Thank you very fucking much, President Bush. For all the time you've been in office, you've brought nothing but misery, despair, war, and ruin. If nothing else, you can guarantee that your name will go down in history. Thank you. Good night.